Well, hello and welcome to At Home today. We're so glad that you could be here with us. It's always great when you drop by. You know, I feel it's a privilege when you allow me to come into your home. There's a lot to see out there. There's a lot to look at, a lot to watch. But when you choose to come to At Home and drop by, it just makes my day. Thank you so much for doing that. We really appreciate it. We have some really wonderful ladies in the audience with us today, Edith and her daughters, and some fine folks here. We're just so glad you could be with us today. Thank you for dropping by. And we're going to talk about blueberries today. Blueberries, that tiny little berry that is oh so good. Sweet, delicious, and I want to give you some facts about it, and I'm going to read them off to make sure that we get it all straight. This is the only berry that when you put it into a batter, it will retain its shape. Sometimes strawberries fall apart, blueberries fall apart, black raspberries and red raspberries fall apart, but not the blueberry. And it doesn't fade when it gets baked. Blueberries shine in muffins and pancakes, waffles, tea and coffee cakes, biscuits, scones, and that intense flavor comes forward like a little burst of sweetness when you eat a muffin that has fresh blueberries. It's just wonderful. Blueberries contribute moistness to a batter or dough, as well as a certain fruity richness, and they thrive in the presence of butter, of milk, buttermilk, sour cream, or heavy cream. I didn't know that. That's pretty interesting. And it has a fragrance that's just wonderful, and it marries well with cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, cardamom. With one of them, or you could put all of them together. It's pure, delicious fruit. And I want to tell you that when you add something to some of these to the waffles or whatever, you want to flour them, because in flouring them, they will hold in the batter. If you're putting them in muffins or whatever, they'll hold in the batter. They won't all sink to the bottom. Don't think you can put a whole lot in there, because if you put too many in, then they get mushy, and then they do sink to the bottom whether you floured them or not. It's too much for the batter to hold. So just some little tidbits of information about the blueberry, which today we're going to be preparing a lot of dishes using the blueberry as the main theme. We're going to be right back in just a minute, but here's today's at-home hint. Stay tuned. We'll see you in a minute. Here's today's at-home hint. To easily remove burned-on food from your skillet, simply add a drop or two of dish soap and enough water to cover the bottom of the pan, and bring it to a boil on your stovetop. It will clean it beautifully.
For updates, pictures, stories, and more, like us on Facebook. To watch hundreds of classic episodes, subscribe to us on YouTube. And to get hundreds of free recipes, visit ctvn.org/athome.
All right, to begin with, when you're choosing blueberries, it's important. They come usually in a package like this in the produce area of your store. You want to look at the bottom and see if there's any moistness, if any wetness on the bottom of the berries. Wetness will make these deteriorate, so you don't want to have that. You can see these are nice and dry, and they have the little air vents in there which help to keep them dry. These will get mushy if they get against wetness, or if there's some spoilage, then that just starts a process that a lot of them will get mushy. So this is perfect. These are the way you want them, nice and fresh, all looking beautiful. And again, I can't tell you that McGinnis Sisters has top quality when it comes to blueberries and all our fruits. First thing we're going to do is make a blueberry cake. And this is just, I have 2½ cups of sugar, and I've already creamed this and 1/2 cup of butter, because I wanted to get a head start on making our cake. Now what I'm going to do is just add 2 eggs, just like that, okay? And you want to make sure that they get incorporated. Eggs always add a nice richness to a batter. It certainly is doing that here. And in another bowl, I've combined, turn this off, I've combined my flour, which is 3 cups of flour, and I'm going to add, this is, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, not baking soda, all right? And I'm going to take my fork, because you don't want to just leave it in there like that. You want to mix it thoroughly. Make sure that it gets down in the flour. Now, before we start to add that, I'm going to add some vanilla. This is a couple of teaspoons of vanilla. And again, what we're going to start to do now that this is incorporated, we're going to begin to add our flour and our milk alternately to this batter that we've begun. Okay, we pretty much have that done now. Okay, there we are. Now I'm going to add a little bit of milk, just like this. and begin to incorporate that. Then we're going to add some of our flour mixture. And by doing that, you're getting the right amount of air into the batter to make it lift, and you want to do that. You can see it's going to be a little dry, but that's okay because you're going to add more milk to make it moist. Just like that, okay? There we go. Now again, we'll go back, and you want to stop it because you know what will happen. That milk will be flying everywhere and the camera will be covered. So we try not to make it too wild here. And again, we incorporate the milk, just like that. And then we're going to add another addition of flour. And you know, it can be, you can do a lot or a little or fast or slow. It's up to you. If you have a lot of time, do it little bits at a time. It really works well that way. All right? This will make a 9 by 13 cake. And you want to have your glass baking dish well greased. And I would grease it with butter because that will enrich also this batter. Some people use Crisco or whatever. If I have to grease a pan for something that I'm baking, I try to use the same fat that's an ingredient in the actual batter or the cake mix. And in this case, of course, it is, better do some milk here. It is butter, so that's what you would want. For the sake of time, we're going to do something. Just put it all in there and let's mix it up. Now, this is going to mix and you're going to have a wonderful batter, but what you're not going to do is put the blueberries in here. And I know you know why, but I'm just going to, for learning's sake, you don't want to put the blueberries because a mixer will mash them to death and they will be mush. But we don't want that. We want to cut the blueberry cake and we want it to have some really pretty, nice big pieces of blueberry, whole blueberries in there. So, again, we're mixing. And the leavening in this is, of course, the baking powder. You will want to scrape down the sides and just make sure that it's well done, well incorporated and blended thoroughly. Okay, now I'm going to just take them off of there. And I'm going to spoon the blueberries. They've been thoroughly washed and clean. Sometimes there's little stems in there, you have to watch them. So just keep an eye out for that. But now what we do is just fold, just like this. Let me get this out of the way here. You know, Mom always says, clean it all out, get it out of the way. Okay. All right, and when we do, you know how to fold. You basically just take it around and bring it up, down and up, down and up. You don't stir, you don't get a big spoon in there and mash them all together. You don't do that. Absolutely not. You're just going to stir it in just like that. This is a wonderful batter. It's creamy. It looks good. Blueberries are doing well in there. Now we're going to pour this in to our prepared pan. This goes to 350 degrees. This is going to bake for about 30 to 40 minutes. And you want to be sure that it's done, and you're going to test it either with a cake tester or with a toothpick. And very nice. This is like a basic. This would be nice to do. You could do it for a breakfast if you wanted to, or a brunch if you're having folks in for brunch. You could do it for a summer evening if you're having some friends over, just to sit out on the porch, you know, make iced tea or a big pot of coffee or something like that. This is a wonderful, delicious cake just for that. We're going to spread it to the edges. Just make sure it gets in the corners, like so. This makes a nice full dish of batter, which will cause it to rise nicely. Okay? All right. There we are. Just like that. I'm going to go to the oven with this. And we're going to put this right in. Remember, 30 to 40 minutes. We're going to set the timer. And when it's done, I only wish you could be here to have a piece. We're going to come back with another blueberry recipe in just a moment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you love At Home with Arlene Williams, then subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have hundreds of episodes with all your favorite recipes, holidays, and friends.
Say hi to your fan club.
Hi, fan club.
And don't forget to click the bell so you'll never miss another episode of At Home.
Our next blueberry dish that we're preparing is blueberry bread custard. If you like bread custard or like a bread pudding, you're going to like this. It has a new twist on that. And basically all you do is take slices of bread, you cut the crust off, you take 5 slices for an 8-inch square pan, like I have here. We've cut the crust off, then we've buttered it with soft butter and cut them in fourths, like that, and place them in our pan. Here's what we have here. That covers the whole bottom of the pan, all right? Now what we're going to do is take our delicious, clean, beautifully dried blueberries, sprinkle them all over the bread, like so, just like that. And then, on top of that, we're going to sprinkle some cinnamon, and that can be to taste, much as you would want or as little as you'd want. Now at our house, Paul loves cinnamon. Anything, I've been in bakeries with him and he'd say to the lady, now do these cinnamon rolls have a lot of cinnamon? And she'd say, oh, well, not too much. He'd say, well, then I don't want them. She'd say, what do you mean? Because they just usually, oh, that's too much. Never too much for Paul. He loves it. Okay, so now this is ready, and what we have to do now is prepare the custard that's going to go over this. And what I have here in this pan is, let me see, how many, I have 2 cups of milk, and you don't want it to boil. All you want it to do is to get hot. And to that, I have added a 1/2 cup of sugar. So it's ready. I'm going to turn the heat off here. All right. Now, we have to add 3 beaten eggs to that. But the problem is, if I would dump them into that milk, guess what we'd have? Scrambled eggs in milk. So we have to temper the eggs. And the way you do that is you take a bit of the milk, like so, and you just pour it in here just to temper it. Just a little bit, like so. And what that does, that brings the eggs to the temperature of the milk. See? And then they incorporate, and you don't get the scrambled eggs. Okay, and now what we do, instead of pouring that in here, we're going to pour this in here and continue to whisk it, just like that. And then what that does is makes our custard, because we have our milk. Now we're going to add some vanilla to it. And then this gets poured immediately over the berries and the bread, just like that. Oh, I wish you could smell that cinnamon and that vanilla. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And you want to make sure that it all gets soaked. Tuck your bread stuff down in there. And then this goes into a bain-marie. Now I know you're saying, a what? It's a bain-marie. It's a water bath. So what you do is you take a baking dish, baking pan, larger than the one that you have your ingredients in, and you're going to put this into the oven. In fact, I'm going to pull that out like so. And then what you do is you pour boiling water into the outer pan, and that makes a water bath, and it has to come up to about 1 inch. So you want to pour, make sure it's boiling. You'll see that the water will start to come up the edge of the pan, just like that. And that will help you to make the custard. There we are. Now, when you get that done, you push it back in very carefully. And that bakes for about 40 minutes, 40 to 60 minutes. And I tell you, you'll know it's done when the custard sets in the middle, and then you can take a knife and just go in the center. And if the knife comes out clean, you know that your custard has set. Easy and delicious. All right, one more that we have to do is I want to show you how to do the blueberry muffins, which seem to be a favorite for everybody, including the crew here at the station. Okay, and we're going to, first of all, let me get this here. Okay, we have to plug this baby in here. Let me move it over here. We have so much going on in this kitchen today, you know, it's just hard to find a plug that's available. But we like to do this because it helps you to understand how to make things and to make stuff for your family that maybe is a little bit different you've never done before. Okay, now we're set. Okay, let's start with, in our mixing bowl, we're going to do 4 eggs. And then to these 4 eggs, and you know, use the freshest and the best ingredients that you can find. And I tell you, people say, well, you know, what size egg should I buy? I think the rule of thumb for most recipes is a large egg, not an extra large, not jumbos or anything, because that adds extra moisture to it, and that's not good. So you want to just do large eggs. Okay, and we're going to start these beating, and as they beat, then we're going to add our sugar. And this is baked in a 400-degree oven, so you want to make sure it's preheated. And we're just going to add the sugar slowly and gradually. This makes a lot. This makes 24 muffins. I tell you, that's enough for breakfast, for lunch, for some snacks, some to put in the freezer, some to give to the neighbor next door. That makes a lot, and that's good. That's real good. Okay, now we're going to add some oil. 1 cup of vegetable oil, very slowly. Just like this. Kind of like to do it until it all incorporates well. Just like that. This is vegetable oil, a light oil. You'd never want to use olive oil because that'd be way too heavy. All right, and we're going to put some vanilla. There we go. Vanilla into there. Now, we have some dry ingredients here. We're going to let that go. And while we combine the dry ingredients, which is some salt and some baking powder and some baking soda, and again, we want to mix this with our fork to totally incorporate it, just like that. And we have 2 cups of sour cream. We're going to add this alternately, sour cream and the dry ingredients, similar to what we did with the cake batter. Because again, that just gives it a lift. In sour cream, these blueberries love to be in that sour cream environment, that sour environment, either with buttermilk or the sour cream. So this looks nice. This is coming along, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the whisk. I'm going to put some of this in first, okay? And you know what? We're going to take a break, and I'm going to finish putting these together. We're going to add these together, stir in the blueberries, put them in our blueberry cups, the muffin cups, and we're going to bake them off. And when we come back, we're going to show you the finished product. Okay, stay tuned. Don't you go away. Here's how you can get today's recipes.
To get all the recipes from today's show, plus hundreds of others, just click the link in the video description or visit our website, ctvn.org/at-home.
I just heard recently that blueberries are one of the best fighters of cancer. They are such a good fighter of cancer, and they're so good for you, and they're accessible. And you don't have to do anything to them. If you could just eat them raw like this, that's fine. They're really, really good for you. But they're also a delicious addition to waffles and pancakes. And what we've prepared today, which we'll start off with, this is our blueberry bread pudding. You can see how it's baked. And what I've done, I've cut a piece here, and all we're going to do is put a little bit of just some Cool Whip or whipped cream, whichever you'd prefer, just like that, to dress that up just a bit. Really looks nice, I think. And then next to it is our delicious blueberry cake. Isn't this a beauty? First of all, what you want to do, you want to tap just some powdered sugar all over the top of the cake. Just perks it up a little bit. Or you could put some whipped cream on this if you wanted. You know, whatever your desire is, that's fine, it works good. But this is really, really a nice addition. And when you cut it, you're going to cut a piece just like you normally would a cake. Look how light that cake is. Beautiful, beautiful, and delicious. And those berries are in there. Get this first piece out. Ah, look at that. Moist, tender, and still warm, as a matter of fact. Delicious blueberry cake. Then we move on to our muffins, and look at this. Aren't these gorgeous? Beautiful, big, beautiful muffins. And you know, I did, as I suggested at the beginning, I floured down the blueberries before we added them to the batter. And you can see they're suspended. They're not all in the bottom. They've come through the batter beautifully. Some are on the top. And these only bake 20-25 minutes. And look how many you get. Actually, we got about 30 instead of 24 out of this batch. So these freeze very well. What you'd want to do, I would do, is if I were going to freeze them, I would wrap them individually. And I would do them as soon as I took them out of the oven, while they're still warm, wrap them in your plastic wrap. Put them into the freezer individually. Put them on a cookie sheet, baking sheet. Put them in until they're frozen. You say, but Arlene, shouldn't they cool? No, because what you do when you wrap them when they're warm, you trap all that moisture inside, just like cookies when you freeze cookies. As quickly as you can get to it to package them, put them in the freezer, then you've trapped all of that moisture in there. Then you won't have a dry product when you bring it out and you thaw it down. It will still be nice and moist. So you can see we have plenty of these, some for the neighbors, like I said. You know what's nice to do if you have somebody new in the neighborhood and you want to welcome them, you don't have time to do a whole big dinner. Go out and buy like a 6 muffin pan. Pop 6 of these individually wrapped into that muffin tin. Put a little piece of wrapping around it, put a nice bow on it, and just walk over and say, welcome to the neighborhood. Or, maybe the mailman needs a lift today, or, just package up some of these for him. Anytime you do something that is beyond what the world would say to do, just because you have a desire to help somebody or to show them that you care, it's always appreciated. Like we appreciate you for coming by and visiting with us today. It's always a pleasure. It's always a joy to see you. So be sure to join us the next time, because it just wouldn't be the same without you here at home. We'll see you then.
Food provided by McGinnis Sisters Special Food Stores in Brentwood and Monroeville. Taste the world.
Don't forget to click the subscribe button so you'll never miss another episode of At Home. Thank you for watching.
Cornerstone Television wishes to thank all our faithful viewers whose consistent prayers and financial support have made this program possible.